In 1995, Dwayne Johnson had just been cut from a professional football team. He reached into his pocket and found only $7. No job, no future, no backup plan. Today, that same man is worth nearly $800 million. He's been the highest paid actor in Hollywood. He owns one of the fastest growing tequila brands in America, a production company behind blockbuster movies, an energy drink company, and even part of a professional football league. But here's what most people don't realize. Hollywood didn't make Dwayne Johnson rich. It simply gave him the money to make the business decisions that did. Every major jump in his fortune came from one bold decision. And today, we're going to follow every one of them. From $7 to nearly $800 million. Dwayne Johnson wasn't born into wealth. Far from it. Growing up, money was always a problem. His father was a professional wrestler, but the pay was inconsistent. The family moved constantly, and one day, Dwayne watched strangers carry their furniture out of the house after they were evicted. He never forgot that moment. And from then on, he had only one goal: become financially successful. He believed football was the way out. After starring at the University of Miami, he dreamed of playing in the NFL. Instead, he went undrafted. His only opportunity came from the Calgary Stampeders in the Canadian Football League. It looked like the beginning of his career. Instead, it became the end. Just 2 months later, before the season even started, he was released. At 23 years old, his dream was over. He returned home with only $7 in his pocket. Most people would have seen failure. Dwayne saw a second chance. With nothing left to lose, he decided to follow in his father's footsteps and try professional wrestling. It was a decision that would change his life forever. When Dwayne Johnson entered professional wrestling, he wasn't chasing fame. He was trying to rebuild his life. The WWF believed they had found their next superstar. They introduced him as Rocky Maivia, a smiling hero inspired by his father and grandfather. There was only one problem. The fans hated him. Night after night, arenas echoed with the same chant: "Rocky sucks." For a young wrestler, it could have been the end. Instead of giving people what they wanted, Dwayne did the exact opposite. He stopped trying to be the perfect hero. He became louder, more arrogant, more confident. And for the first time, he wasn't playing a character. He was simply becoming a larger-than-life version of himself. That was the birth of The Rock. Everything changed. His catchphrases became legendary. Merchandise sales exploded. Pay-per-view events broke records. Within a few years, he wasn't just another wrestler. He was the biggest star in professional wrestling. More importantly, he had earned something he had never had before: financial freedom. His fortune had grown from $7 to around $5 million. Most people would have protected that success. Dwayne did the opposite. He risked it all again. He decided to leave the wrestling ring and chase an even bigger dream: Hollywood. By the early 2000s, Dwayne Johnson had become one of the biggest names in wrestling. Walking away from the WWE seemed crazy. It was the safest paycheck ever had. But Dwayne wanted something bigger. He wanted to become a movie star. The odds were against him. Hollywood had seen wrestlers before. Most of them failed. Studios believed they could fight, but not act. Still, Dwayne took the risk. In 2001, he appeared briefly in The Mummy Returns. It was only a small role, but audiences loved his screen presence. Universal Pictures immediately offered him the lead role in The Scorpion King. The deal made headlines. Dwayne was paid $5.5 million, one of the biggest salaries ever given to a first-time leading actor. His gamble had paid off, but success didn't last. Several of his next films disappointed at the box office. Critics questioned whether he could survive in Hollywood. For the second time in his career, he faced a choice: keep doing the same thing, or reinvent himself. He chose reinvention. He moved beyond action movies. He embraced comedy, family films, and adventure blockbusters. Instead of being known only as The Rock, he wanted audiences to know Dwayne Johnson. That decision changed everything. Hollywood stopped seeing him as a former wrestler. It started seeing him as a real movie star. His fortune climbed to nearly $30 million. But the biggest payday of his life was still years away. Reinventing himself saved his career. Now, it was time to dominate Hollywood. In 2011, Dwayne Johnson joined the Fast and Furious franchise as Luke Hobbs. The series was already a global success, but his arrival brought new energy. Fans loved the character. The movies became even bigger. Then came San Andreas, Central Intelligence, Moana, and the two Jumanji films, one blockbuster after another. Soon, studios realized something important. People weren't just watching the movies. They were watching them because The Rock was in them. His value skyrocketed. His salary climbed from $5 million to 10, then 20 million, and sometimes even more. But Dwayne negotiated differently from most actors. Instead of asking only for bigger paychecks, he asked for producer credits, performance bonuses, and a percentage of the profits whenever possible. One successful movie could now pay him several times over. By 2016, Forbes named him the highest paid actor in the world. Some years he earned more than $80 million. His fortune reached nearly $150 million. From the outside, it looked like he had won. But Dwayne knew something most actors never realize. No matter how big your salary is, you're still getting paid to work if you stop working. The money eventually stops too. He wanted something different. He wanted businesses that could make money, even while he slept. That decision would become the biggest turning point of his entire financial journey. By 2012, Dwayne Johnson had already conquered Hollywood. He was earning millions for every movie. But he had discovered a problem. Actors create value. Studios keep most of it. Every blockbuster followed the same pattern. He showed up, filmed the movie, collected his paycheck. Then the studio owned the franchise, the profits, and the long-term value. Dwayne wanted to change that, so he teamed up with his longtime business partner, Danny Garcia, and launched $7 Productions. The name was a reminder of the lowest point of his life, the day he had only $7. But this company wasn't just about producing movies, it was about owning them. Instead of waiting for studios to hire him, $7 began developing its own projects. Now, Dwayne wasn't just the actor, he was also the producer. That meant every successful movie generated multiple income streams. He earned as the star, he earned as the producer. And as $7 grew, the company itself became a valuable asset. For the first time in his career, his wealth wasn't tied only to his next movie. He had built a business that could keep generating money year after year. It completely changed the way he thought about success. He was no longer selling his time. He was building ownership. Within a few years, his estimated fortune doubled, reaching nearly $300 million. But Dwayne wasn't finished. He had built a successful company. Now he wanted something even more powerful, a global consumer brand, one that millions of people could buy every single day. By 2020, Dwayne Johnson had already built a fortune most people could never imagine. He had blockbuster movies, a successful production company, and millions of fans around the world. But he noticed something. The wealthiest celebrities weren't making their biggest fortunes from entertainment. They were building brands. George Clooney had sold his Tequila company for up to $1 billion. Ryan Reynolds had invested in aviation gin. Dwayne realized the real opportunity wasn't acting, it was ownership. So in 2020, he launched Teremana Tequila. Unlike many celebrity brands, Dwayne didn't just lend his name. He became one of its owners. From the beginning, Teremana focused on quality at an affordable price. Then Dwayne used his greatest marketing advantage, himself. With hundreds of millions of followers on social media, every workout, every celebration, and every behind-the-scenes post became free advertising for the brand. The strategy worked. Sales exploded. Within just a few years, Teremana became one of the fastest-growing tequila brands in the United States. More importantly, every bottle sold increased the value of Dwayne's ownership stake. For the first time, his biggest financial opportunity wasn't a movie. It was a company. His estimated fortune climbed from around $300 million to nearly $700 million. Hollywood had made him famous, but entrepreneurship was making him truly wealthy. When Dwayne Johnson looked into his wallet in 1995, he saw only $7. At the time, he thought money was the goal. 30 years later, he discovered something much more valuable. Every major leap in his fortune came from the same decision: not finding a better job, not negotiating a bigger paycheck, but owning the businesses behind his success. That's why he didn't stop at becoming the biggest wrestler in the world. He didn't stop at becoming the highest paid actor in Hollywood. He kept asking one question: what can I own next? And that question transformed $7 into an empire worth nearly $800 million. If you enjoyed this story, and want to discover the business decisions that built the world's greatest fortunes, subscribe to Goldmine, because the next billion-dollar story might change the way you think about money forever.